Here is your Northern Colorado real estate market update for July 2026. I'm filming this the first couple of days of July 2026. The data we're talking about today is the most recent data we have available, which is for the month of June 2026. So by looking at what's currently happening in the market, we can make better decisions, we'll know what we need to do, and that's why I make these monthly videos for you to check out. So this is what's really happening, and then I'm going to tell you what this means for home buyers, home sellers. You can set up an appointment with me, quick phone call. We can talk about what this means for you. So let's dive in here and take a look at this. First one is the median sales price. In Fort Collins, $600,000 was the median sales price. That is up 5.3% from the previous year. In Loveland, it's $495,000, down just slightly. $620,000 in Windsor, and in Greeley, the median sales price was $429,900, which is actually no change from 1 year ago. Next, we're going to talk about the closed sales. This is how many transactions are actually happening in the market. So sometimes people feel like, oh, there's nothing happening, no one's buying, interest rates are high or whatever. That is absolutely not the truth. Let's dive in here and look at how many sales are actually happening in these Northern Colorado communities. So for the month of June 2026, there were 297 closed sales in Fort Collins. That's actually a 15.6% increase from a year ago, which is crazy increase. Loveland, there were 160, which is up. Windsor, 97 sales for June, which is actually down 12.6%. Windsor's a little bit different community because there's been a lot of new construction. So when those new construction neighborhoods come out, lots of sales happen, and then a year later it's a slightly different. So I wouldn't put a lot, because of the size of Windsor, I wouldn't put a lot of emphasis on that particular number for this 1 month. And then in Greeley, it was 135 closed sales. So as you can see from this, transactions are happening. Transactions happen every day. If you're a home seller and you want to get your home sold, as long as you price your home right, there are buyers out there who are going to buy your property. And if you're a home buyer, there is a lot of inventory out there. And that's our next slide here. This is the month's supply of inventory. Basically 3 months worth of inventory. Fort Collins 3, Loveland 3.2, Windsor 3.5, and Greeley 3.1. What does this actually mean? Months of inventory is how long it would take to sell off the current homes on the market. So if it's a really tight market and there's enough buyers to buy every home that's available in 1 month, that'd be 1 month's worth of inventory. That would mean the market's super hot. They call that a seller's market. The seller is in control of that. But if there was 10 months worth of inventory, or it took 10 months to sell every house that's out there, obviously that's a buyer's market, and the buyer's going to be able to call the shots. So typically, it's funny because a couple of years ago, they would say like 6 months worth of inventory was a balanced market. Now I hear a lot of like 4 to 5 months worth of inventory is a balanced market. I think that we are living in a time where we just expect things quickly. You're gonna order something on Amazon, it's gonna be on your doorstep at 7 a.m. the next morning. We expect things immediately. So when you put your house on the market, if it takes 60 days, 90 days, 120 days to sell your house, that's a long time. Most people want to get their house sold within a couple of weeks. Because of that, I think that in the world we live in now, a balanced market is much shorter than 4 to 5 months, and definitely the 6 months that we used to say. So I would say at around this 3 months worth of inventory where we are right now is pretty balanced. Sellers, can still demand their prices, but buyers can ask for concessions. Buyers can ask for things. I've had a couple recently where I was representing the seller. The buyers kind of came back at us with a huge list of things that they wanted us to fix on the inspection report. And that kind of stuff happens when it's a buyer's market and the buyers think they can get anything they ask for. However, in both of those cases, I stood up for my seller and we refused it and threatened to go back on market, because I think the market is strong enough for certain homes that if you went back on the market, you could get the same offer again. So it's not, I would say it's very balanced at the moment with 3 months worth of inventory. So that's interesting thing to think about. If you're a home seller, it's a good time to sell. But again, if you're priced high, it's going to sit and nothing is going to happen. So that's not going to be a good place to be. The last metric I want to talk about here is how many showings there are per listing. Okay, so this is not data that you hear a lot about, but I think it's super important, especially if you're a home seller. Sellers, again, like I said, the Amazon effect, right? You expect you're going to get your list, you're going to put your house on the market. There's going to be 100 showings, and it's going to go under contract in the first 2 weeks. That just isn't today's market. That happened in 2021. That happened some in 2022. But you put any price on your house, you get 10% above that. There's 30 showings. You pick the best offer at the end of the weekend. That is not the case. So looking at this slide here, basically 4 showings per month. In Fort Collins, there were 4.4. In Windsor, it's only 3.5. In Loveland, it was 4.4. And in Greeley, it's 3.8. So if you put your house on the market and you're only going to get 4 showings a month, that's really 1 showing a week. So, and then, I don't have this slide, but 7 or 8 showings is how many it takes. 10 showings sometimes is how many showings it takes to get an offer. And that's why you're seeing that 3 months worth of inventory. That's why you're seeing the days on market go longer. It's simple math. It makes perfect sense. So, but what does this mean? Okay, so if you're going to only get 4 showings as a seller, that means you've got to be priced right, number one, to get people to come. See if you can get more. See if you can get 6 showings in the first month. Then you're overperforming the market. But the house has to look fantastic. It's got to be super clean. Everything, the curb appeal has to be perfect so that you can get this offer quickly. Again, market's good. As I showed, tons of showings are, tons of homes are being sold. Homes sell every single day. So it isn't a bad time to get your house on the market, but you need to have a plan. You need to work through a marketing plan on that. I can definitely help with that. If you're a home buyer, I'm hearing from a lot of buyers that this isn't a good time to buy. I just don't get that. Home prices are pretty flat in most cases. If you're looking at townhomes, you can get townhomes significantly under what they sold for a year ago. So I think there's some opportunities there. If you're going to buy a townhome and then live in it for 5 years, you're going to get a bunch of equity over that time because you're buying right now. But yes, interest rates are a little bit higher, but that all balances out. You refinance later. I can talk through all these concepts with you. Really schedule a 2-minute phone call with me. I can talk about your specific situation, and we can decide what is the best thing for you. So you can always hit me up at my website, which is www.andyhawbaker.com. My name is Andy Hawbaker. I am a realtor in Northern Colorado with Coldwell Banker Realty. I mostly service Fort Collins, Loveland, Windsor, and Greeley. I do some Longmont and surrounding areas also, but I am happy to help both home buyers and home sellers in Northern Colorado. Like I said, go to my website. You can learn more about me and subscribe to this channel to learn more.